Before we begin, if you're watching or reading this story, please subscribe so you never miss another inspiring love story. Sparkles, the letter that arrived late, a short love story with a lesson. Sparkles. Amara sat by the window of her tiny apartment, the same way she had for the past 3 months. Every evening she watched the streetlights flicker on, hoping that maybe, just maybe, Ethan would walk back into her life. They had met in university. She was quiet and observant, he was bold and endlessly curious. Together they balanced each other like sunrise and sunset. But after graduation, life pulled them in different directions, and their love, once bright, dimmed under the weight of distance and silence. One chilly autumn morning, just as Amara was heading out, she noticed an envelope under her door. Her heart raced the moment she saw the handwriting. It was Ethan. She opened it with trembling hands. Amara, I know I disappeared without explanation, and I don't expect forgiveness. I had been offered a job overseas, and I thought leaving quietly would make it easier for both of us. I was wrong. Every day without you has been a lesson in what truly matters. I'm back in town. If you still think of me even a little, meet me where we first watched the sunset. Her breath caught their hill. She didn't think twice. When she arrived, Ethan was there, older, a bit tired, but with the same warm eyes she remembered. The moment he saw her, he stood up quickly. I'm sorry, he said softly. I thought running away would hurt less than saying goodbye. Amara looked at him, feeling the sting of all the unanswered questions, but also the relief of seeing him again. You can't rewrite the past, she said, but you can choose what you do next. Ethan nodded. Then I choose you if you'll let me. She hesitated, but only for a moment. Then she stepped forward and took his hand. Sometimes love doesn't need perfection. It needs honesty, courage, and a second chance. Glowing star lesson of the story. Love doesn't fall apart because people make mistakes. It falls apart when people refuse to talk, to try, or to return. If someone matters to you, communicate, show up, and be brave enough to fix what needs fixing. Part 2, the letter that arrived late. Sparkles. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe before we continue. More love stories are coming. Sparkling heart. Sunrise, the sunset of answers. Ethan and Amara walked down from the hill slowly, their hands intertwined but their hearts still unsure. The silence between them wasn't heavy, it was healing, like both were trying to remember how to breathe together again. When they reached the small cafe they used to visit, Amara stopped. Before anything, she said, I need to understand. Why didn't you at least call? Ethan exhaled deeply, guilt washing over his face. I was scared, he admitted. I'd never been given such a huge opportunity before. I convinced myself that leaving you behind would free you from having to wait for someone who might never return. And did it? She asked quietly. No, he said, it broke me. Every day abroad I kept writing messages I never sent. I kept thinking you'd moved on. Amara looked down at her cup, but I never did. The confession lingered in the air like a warm breeze. Ethan reached across the table. I want to earn your trust again, he said. Slowly, patiently, no more disappearing, no more fear. Amara thought for a long moment, then she nodded. Then start by telling me everything you didn't say. So he did. For hours, Ethan poured out the truths he had buried, his insecurities, his mistakes, his regrets. And for every truth he offered, Amara felt another piece of the old pain loosen its hold. As the night settled in and the cafe emptied, Amara leaned her head on his shoulder. You left, she whispered, but you came back, that means something. Yes, Ethan said, placing a gentle kiss on her hair. It means I finally learned who home truly is. Glowing star lesson of part 2. Healing begins when truth replaces silence. It is never too late to speak from the heart. But you must be brave enough to say everything you ran from. Sparkles part 3, the letter that arrived late. Sparkles. And hey, if you're still following this story, hit subscribe to stay with us until the end. Sparkling heart. Cloud, the first storm after the sunrise. Asterisk. For a few weeks, everything between Ethan and Amara felt soft and new again. They laughed more, talked more, and rebuilt their connection piece by piece. But love is always tested, always. One Friday evening, Amara was preparing dinner when Ethan's phone buzzed on the table. She didn't mean to look, but the name on the screen froze her. Maya's work trip coordinator. Amara remembered the names. She was the person Ethan had travelled with during his time abroad. A small, sharp worry formed in her chest. Ethan walked out of the kitchen with 2 glasses of juice. He saw the look on her face immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked. She hesitated. "Who is Maya to you, really?" Ethan blinked, surprised. "She's the one who handled my travel schedules, that's all." "Then why is she calling at night?" Instead of answering gently, Ethan sighed in frustration. A small mistake, but a painful one. "Amara, please don't start this," he said. Her heart tightened. Old fears she thought she had buried began to rise. "So you can disappear for months, and I'm not even allowed to ask questions." Ethan ran his hand through his hair. "I'm here now, aren't I? Why aren't we past this?" Silence. Heavy and cold. Amara whispered, "I'm trying, Ethan, but healing doesn't mean forgetting." Ethan froze. Her words sank into him like truth hitting stone. He stepped closer and gently held her face. "You're right," he said quietly, "and I'm sorry. I should never make you feel like your fears are an inconvenience." He picked up his phone, opened the message, and showed her everything. There was nothing romantic, nothing secret, nothing hidden. Just work. Amara felt her chest loosen. "You don't need to prove anything," she said softly. "But I need to feel safe." Ethan nodded. "And I need to learn how to help you feel that way." They embraced, not as 2 people trying to be perfect, but as 2 people choosing to try again. Glowing Star Lesson of Part 3. Love doesn't break because of problems. It breaks when people face problems alone. When you choose transparency over defensiveness and understanding over pride, love grows stronger than fear. Part 4. The Letter That Arrived Late. Sparkles. Still with us? If you're enjoying this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more love stories. Sparkling Heart. Blossom. The unexpected news. A month passed, and for the first time since their reunion, Ethan and Amara felt steady. Not perfect, but steady. Their days were filled with small routines, shared breakfasts, evening walks, long talks, and quiet moments that reminded them why they had found each other in the first place. One Saturday morning, they decided to visit Amara's mother, who lived on the outskirts of town. It was their first time going together since they got back together, and Amara felt nervous. Her mother had seen her cry over Ethan. She had watched her break. She had held her when Ethan disappeared. Would she accept him again? When they arrived, Amara's mother greeted them with cautious warmth. She hugged Amara tightly, then looked at Ethan with eyes that had seen hurt and hoped for healing. "You came back," she said simply. "Yes, ma'am," Ethan replied, "and I won't leave again." Her mother nodded slowly, letting the words settle. Lunch was peaceful. Stories were shared, laughter slowly returned, and Amara felt relief wash over her. But just as they were finishing eating, her mother reached into a drawer and pulled out an envelope. A familiar kind of envelope. "Amara," she said gently, "this came months ago before Ethan returned. I didn't give it to you because I didn't want to reopen wounds, but you should read it now." Amara stared at it. Ethan looked confused. She opened the letter carefully, and her eyes widened. "Dear Amara, you may never read this, but you deserve the truth. I left suddenly because I was diagnosed with a condition that could have forced me to stay abroad for treatment. I didn't want you tied to someone who couldn't promise a future. I thought disappearing would spare you the pain. If I get better, I'll come back. If I don't, please remember that loving you was the most beautiful part of my life." "Ethan." Amara's fingers trembled. A tear fell onto the paper. She turned to Ethan slowly. "You were sick and you never told me." Ethan closed his eyes, ashamed. "I didn't want you to worry. I didn't want you to feel trapped." "But you went through that alone," she whispered, voice breaking. "Why didn't you let me be there for you?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Because I loved you too much to make you carry that burden." Amara stood, walked to him and took both his hands. "You don't protect someone you love by pushing them away," she said softly. "You protect them by letting them in." Ethan looked into her eyes, filled with hurt, love, softness, strength. And in that moment, he realized something. He hadn't come back just for her. He had come back to finally be worthy of the love he had run from. They embraced tightly, tears and truth mixing together. A new beginning built not on secrecy, but on vulnerability. Glowing Star Lesson of Part 4. Love isn't proven by suffering in silence. True love is letting someone stand beside you in your darkest moments. Not shielding them from the truth, but trusting them with it. Part 5, The Letter That Arrived Late, Sparkles. And as always, if you're still following this series, hit subscribe to support more beautiful stories like this. Sparkling Heart. Crescent Moon, the choice that could change everything. After the revelation of the letter, Ethan and Amara grew closer than ever. There were no more half-truths, no more unsaid fears, only honesty and a deeper bond strengthened by everything they had survived. One Thursday afternoon, Ethan received an email that made his heart sink and rise at the same time. It was from his former employer abroad. A new project. A once-in-a-lifetime position. A job that could shape the rest of his career. But it required moving again. For 2 years. That evening, Ethan sat with Amara at the park bench where they'd first confessed their love years ago. The sky was painted with gold and soft orange, just like that day. "Amara," he began carefully, "I got an offer today, a big one." She watched him, calm but alert. "You want to accept it?" "Yes," he admitted, "but I don't want to lose you again." She took a long breath, holding his gaze. "Last time you left without telling me. This time you're telling me everything. That already means something." "But 2 years is long," Ethan whispered. "What if we can't handle the distance?" Amara smiled gently. "What if we can?" He stared at her, surprised by her strength. "I'm not the same woman you left," she continued. "And you're not the same man who walked away. If this job is your dream, I won't be the reason you let it go." Ethan's throat tightened. "I don't want a dream without you in it." She took his hands. "Then we make a plan, we stay connected. We communicate, we fight for us, not out of fear but out of love." Ethan leaned his forehead against hers, overwhelmed by gratitude. "You'd really do that? Wait for me." "I don't wait," she said softly. "I walk with you, just from a different place." He laughed through his tears. And then, without hesitation, he pulled her close. "Then I'll take the job," he finally said. "But I'll come back, and this time nothing will keep me away." Amara kissed him, slow and sure. "Good," she whispered, "because our story is just beginning." Glowing Star Lesson of Part 5. Real love isn't about holding someone back. It's about helping them grow, even if it challenges the relationship. Distance can test love, but honesty, communication and commitment can make it stronger than ever. Part 6. The Letter That Arrived Late, Sparkles. And if you're still following this beautiful journey, don't forget to subscribe for more love stories. Sparkling Heart. Globe showing Europe, Africa, love across the ocean. Ethan left for his new job 3 weeks later. This time there were no hidden letters, no sudden disappearances. Only long hugs, whispered promises, and a future they both agreed to fight for. The first month of long distance was surprisingly easy. Daily video calls. Voice notes full of "I miss you." Pictures of meals, sunsets, and little moments they wished they could share in person. But then life got busier. Ethan's schedule tightened. Meetings ran late. Time zones stopped listening. Some nights, Amara stayed up waiting for a call that never came. Some mornings, Ethan woke with guilt heavy on his chest, realizing he had fallen asleep on his laptop. One night, Amara stared at her phone for almost an hour before sending a message she had been afraid to write. "Ethan, are we still okay?" He saw it at 3:47 a.m. Exhausted but alarmed, he called her immediately. Amara answered with a trembling voice. "I don't want us to drift," she said softly. Not after everything we've survived. Ethan sat up, his heart pounding. You're right, he said. I've been drowning in work, but that's not an excuse. You're my priority, Amara. I'm not losing you, not again. They talked until sunrise. About expectations, fears, routines, and ways to stay connected without draining one another. They decided on 3 things. 1. Weekly video dates no matter the time difference. 2. Truth even when it hurts. 3. A visit every 3 months no matter what. And slowly the distance became less of a wall, and more of a bridge they crossed together. Months passed. They learned each other's rhythms. They grew individually but wove their growth together. They missed each other, but without the fear of abandonment. One afternoon, while Ethan was preparing for a big presentation, he received an email from his boss. His heart stopped. Your contract extension has been approved. We'd like you to stay another 3 years. Ethan stared at the screen. 3 years. Far longer than they had planned. Far longer than they had promised each other. That evening he called Amara. I need to tell you something, he said, his voice tight. Amara sensed the tension immediately. What is it? Ethan hesitated, because he knew that this news could change everything. Glowing Star lesson of part 6. Distance doesn't break relationships. Silence does. Talking openly, consistently, even when it's uncomfortable, is the heartbeat that keeps long-distance love alive. Part 7, the letter that arrived late, Sparkles. And if you're still walking with Ethan and Amara on this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Sparkling Heart. Fog, the news that shook the promise. Ethan's face was pale on the screen. Amara felt it instantly. The weight behind his silence. The heaviness he carried in his eyes. Ethan, she whispered. Whatever it is, just tell me. He took a shaky breath. They want to extend my contract, he said. For 3 more years. The words hung in the air like cold fog. Amara's heart clenched. 3 years. Not months, years. She tried to stay calm, but her fingers trembled lightly. Do you want to stay? She asked. Ethan looked down. It's one of the biggest opportunities of my life, he admitted. But I don't want to choose between my future and you. Amara stood from her chair and paced slowly across her living room. Her thoughts were a storm. Wanting him close. Wanting him to grow. Fearing the distance. Fearing the loss. Finally, she stopped. Ethan, she said softly, long distance works when there's an end date, something we're counting down to, but 3 years, that's a long time. I know, he whispered, and I hate it. I don't want you to wait that long. She swallowed hard. Something inside her shifted. Not broken, not defeated, but awakening. What if, she began slowly, I don't wait. Ethan's eyes widened sharply. What do you mean? She took a deep breath, her voice steady but emotional. What if I come to you? Ethan froze. You'd move here, he asked, almost afraid to believe it. Yes, she said. If we're building a future together, then maybe it's time we stop letting oceans make decisions for us. Ethan covered his mouth, overcome. Amara, I would never ask you to give up your life for me. You're not asking, she said gently. I'm choosing, we choose each other, remember? He blinked quickly, tears gathering. But your mother, your job, your life here. Amara smiled softly. My mother wants me happy. My job can be done remotely. And my life, she paused, my life is with you. Ethan pressed his forehead to the camera, overwhelmed. I love you, he whispered, more than anything. I love you too, she replied. And I'm tired of loving you through screens. They stayed on the call for hours, planning, dreaming, imagining a life shared in the same time zone, the same space, the same future. For the first time in months, distance didn't feel like a wall. It felt like a countdown. A countdown to home. Glowing Star lesson of part 7. Love grows when both people are willing to sacrifice. Not their dreams, but their fear. Sometimes love isn't about waiting. It's about moving forward, hand in hand, even if it means changing everything. Part 8, The Letter That Arrived Late. Sparkles. If this story still has your heart, please subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. Sparkling Heart. Airplane, the packing, the promise, and the problem. 2 weeks after their big decision, Amara's apartment looked like a small storm had passed through it. Suitcases half open, clothes folded on the bed, important documents stacked on the desk. Everything felt unreal. After months of distance, tears, and late-night calls, she was finally preparing to join Ethan abroad. Her mother helped her pack, quiet but supportive. "You're really going," she said softly. "I am," Amara replied. "It feels right." Her mother nodded. "You've always followed your heart. Just make sure you take your mind with you too." They laughed, but both knew the truth beneath the joke. Love is beautiful, but it requires wisdom too. That evening, Ethan called. "I found an apartment," he said excitedly. "A small one, but big enough for us." Amara smiled. "A home." "A beginning," he corrected gently. They talked for hours. About furniture, about colours, about what they wanted their mornings and nights to look like. Everything felt perfect. Until the next morning. Envelope with arrow, the email that changed the air. Amara woke to an email from the travel office. Her visa appointment, the one she needed to move, had been delayed. Not by days, not by weeks, by 4 months. Her heart dropped. No, this can't be happening," she whispered. She immediately called Ethan. He answered half asleep, but woke fully when he saw her face. "What's wrong?" She held up her phone. "Ethan, my visa appointment was pushed back 4 months." Ethan sat there in silence, shock clouding his expression. "But you were supposed to come in 6 weeks," he said quietly. "I know." She felt the weight of disappointment settle on her chest. After everything, after choosing each other, after planning a life together, another obstacle, a big one. "What do we do now?" Amara whispered. Ethan took a long breath, steadying himself. "We wait," he said firmly. Amara's voice cracked. "But we promised ourselves we wouldn't let distance hurt us again." "And we won't," he said. "We already survived months apart when we didn't know if we had a future. Now we do. This is just time. Time can't break us." She wiped her tears. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "I'm more sure of us now than ever before." Amara closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. This delay wasn't a goodbye. It was just another chapter. A test, not of their love, but of their patience. A few seconds passed before Ethan added with a grin. "Besides, it just means I have 4 more months to prepare the perfect home for you." Amara laughed through her tears. And somehow the world felt lighter again. Glowing star lesson of Part 8. Love isn't fragile. It can withstand delays, distance, and disappointment. What breaks relationships isn't time. It's giving up. When both people choose to keep walking forward, even slowly, love always finds its way.